Riche Irmgard Weitzner is a noble of the House of Weitzner, being the daughter of a duke and a duchess of the Kingdom of Hermity. She had been betrothed to Dietrich Hermity of the House of Hermity of the Kingdom of Hermity since her childhood, and since barred from pursuing her insatiable curiosity and interest in learning. She was grown to be despised by Dietrich, thus eventually, her betrothal with him was dissolved by him. Thereafter, in her first to her sixth life, she was disowned by the House of Weitzner, which would result for her to finally gain the ability to walk a path of her own accord. She would pursue to wander around the world as a merchant, apothecary, alchemist, maid. Caught in a cycle, she worked as a mercenary and a knight before being suddenly slain when she turned 20 in each of her previous lives. But after regressing into her seventh life, she developed a stronger will to survive and eventually succeed in living in a future beyond. This time, though, she was carefree and lazy, so she deviated from her planned path and gave herself up to chance to meet Arnold Hein of the House of Hein of the Empire of Galkine. As she continued on her chosen path in front of him, she unwittingly demonstrated her unusual talents. This piqued his interest in her, leading him to pursue her and unexpectedly make a marriage proposal. Riche Irmgard Weitzner is a very beautiful young girl with wavy waist-length coral pink hair that has short fringes hanging over her forehead with chest-length hair strands hanging on either side, beautiful sea-green eyes, and she possesses a small but fit body as she enjoys staying healthy and in shape. Initially, she was incredibly wary and resentful of him, thus bearing not even the slightest romantic interest for him, and only saw him as her enemy who killed her in her sixth life and was the war instigator that would render her killed in her first to her sixth life. In previous loops, Arnold consistently began a war with the neighboring country and seems to be successful in his campaign each and every time. This also leads to many of the previous deaths of Riche Irmgard Weitzner. It is also implied that sometime in his past, his taste buds were destroyed or otherwise deformed. He bears a series of deep, old scars on the left side of his neck that few know of, and is apropos to talking about the origin of them, even to Riche. Present, she fell asleep while she was riding in a horse-drawn carriage with him. Riche then wrapped his sword, and when he went to pick it up, she woke up with it. Arnold was completely amazed to see that. He was so impressed, he thought to himself that she needs a lot of training to react like that. Since she has a lot of knowledge, she wanted to contact a trading company. Arnold then said, "I have called a trading company. You have no reason to worry." Riche was very happy to hear that. After going some distance, some enemies attacked them. Arnold told her to stay inside and lock the door as he thought something bad would happen. But stopping her was not so easy. She had a lot of experience breaking down doors. Riche then went out and found that he had killed everyone single-handedly. But everyone was hurt in that fight. The situation was looking very bad. It was full of poison. After analyzing it well, then he said, while it won't be fatal, the effect will last for several days. It will be another 2 days to reach Galkin. They assess a hunting settlement along the way. After they return there and procure the antidote, then she said there is no reason to worry. She was making the antidote. Riche then used his experience to make the antidote sitting there. Everyone was shocked to see it. After the antidote was prepared, when she went to give it, everyone was wondering if it was right or not. Seeing everyone silent, she then cut her hand and showed it for consolation. After seeing this, everyone believed and applied the antidote. Sitting away, she was picking more plants for the antidote. Then he came to her and asked how she got out of the horse carriage. She didn't answer it then. Riche didn't answer because she had plenty of experience in her previous life to open any door. As he stared at her for a long time, she wondered what was wrong with him. Arnold then said that he had great difficulty in understanding her completely. Hearing that, she could not understand anything. Since using her antidote, many of his soldiers were recovering. For that, he thanked her with a nod. She then asked him why they weren't taking her antidote then. He then said the only reason was because you had broken an engagement. How about the girl who is marrying her king? She then said. What did he say when you told His Majesty the Emperor about her? After hearing this, he said, she from a ducal house with connection to the royal family, and was fiancée to the crown prince. She taken him fancy, so he's stolen her. That's what he told him. On hearing this, she said it is good, then I don't have to do any work as I am detained. Rishi thanked him for that. Then they finally arrived at the capital. Standing there, Arnold said the room was in bad condition as it had been closed for a long time. She has to adjust accordingly if she wants to stay. Rish then said, there is no problem. It is very good. There is no problem for her. Then she started cleaning all the dust from the whole room using her previous life experience. After some time, she saw how many maids made trouble by gathering at one place. She then proceeded to find out what was going on. She then understood the whole matter and settled the matter. Then the Midas left there. After this incident, when she came to the balcony, the whole city looked at it. Then he came there and asked what she thought of this beautiful city. She was talking about the city and was very happy. Then from the side, he asks her how she is so happy. He then replied that she have wanted to come to the city for a long time. He then smiled and said, you have no problem with what you want. I will always be with you. After saying this, he left from there. When she woke up the next morning, Arnold stood in front of him. But then the prince's butler appeared there. He was feeling nervous before what he would say. The only drawback was that he was not fully rested. Not only that, Prince didn't sleep until she didn't get rest. She apologized for him. Then his butler heard this and said that he had no intention of getting married at the moment. All he wanted to say was that this time he found a good wife. Then she said, no problem, you can take a good look at me. Then his butler says, what is this saying, you forgive me? Then she asked him why he wants to marry me since long time, you know. Then she said, I don't know, but I never saw Prince so happy before. Then she went to his chamber to speak with the prince, asked whether I will be allowed to do the selection of the maids. Then the prince replied that you can do what you want. Well, then she said, you can introduce me as your fiancé in front of everyone. Then he took her by the hand and came down to where many people were gathered. Then whenever they saw the prince, they rushed to introduce theirs own daughters. Then without hearing a word, he made his intro with everyone who himself had found his own wife. Everyone was completely shocked to hear this. He passed completely in front of them without looking at anyone. She did not understand then how the person who had tried to kill her in her previous birth was treating her so well now. Then seeing everyone dancing, they started dancing themselves. During the dance, she was completely remembering the previous words. Seeing their dance, everyone was completely in a stand. After the dance, they came outside and drank in peace for a while. Then she asked him, what was the cut mark I could see on your neck? He was completely shocked to hear this and wondered how she would know. Then she did not hide it and showed it to her. When asked about it, he left without saying anything. Then someone was secretly listening to them from below. The next morning, she was working together with some of the other girls. She was a princess when other girls couldn't think of it. On that day, everyone was assembled together in a room. The reason was that on that day, the princess's personal maid would be chosen. When everyone found out that the girl was working with them before, the real princess, they was completely shocked. Finally, the people from the trading company appeared there to talk to them. She was going crazy. She started talking to the owner of the trading company when they started talking about the business. Then she said that the items that I need for my wedding are produced in your Aria Trading Company. Now the owner of Aria Trading Company said that I cannot sell you what you want. The reason was that the customers of our Aria Trading Company were chosen by me. Then she said, it's no problem, it's the only event in my life. Then the owner of Aria Trading Company said that I cannot sell you any goods anyway. Then after saying that, he left from there. Since then, she was sad that he could not convince the owner of the Aria Trading Company. Then she was mowing the garden, remembering all about the time her previous born like this had spent with Aria Trading Company. That time at night, when the owner of Aria Trading Company came to drink in a shop, the princess was sitting together with others drinking. Then the owner of Aria Trading Company came and said that you can change your form very well. How did you change your form? Then their conversation started, and the princess then said that you don't have to worry about talking to me. Then, he said, after listening to your conversation at Lady Rish, it seems that it is good to add you not as a client, but as a trading partner. Then, when the owner of Arya Trading Company understood everything, he asked the princess to tell everything about her plan. Then Princess said, I can't tell you anything about my plans now, but later you will know everything. Then Arya Trading Company owner said, I will sign contract with you, but you don't tell me anything. Then the owner of Arya Trading Company said that, I don't like this kind of offer. Then the princess said that you don't need to believe me, but I will reward you with compensation if you understand me first. When all was said and done, the princess gave a medicine bag before leaving, saying that when everyone wakes up, feed the medicine bag and everyone will be fine. Then, as the princess was sneaking into the house, she found Prince Arnold awake, waiting for her. Then the princess asked Prince Arnold, what are you doing here at night? Please tell me your deal with Arya Trading Company fell through. Having said that, he also said that it was strange that a simple trader would leave an offer to a future princess like this. Then another thing that I told you, that you can do whatever you want, but you won't tell me anything, because you can do whatever you want. It's not right. Then when he went to the princess saying this, she apologized. Then the princess said, forgive me, for your dignity is lost, that a princess should leave the house without saying anything at night. Prince then said, leave it, I don't care who said what. Okay, first tell me you are not hurt. Then he added that from now on, wherever you go, I will go with you. Hearing this, she said, okay, you told me to do whatever you want, but it won't look right for me to catch you in every task. Then the prince said that I will stay with you, so that if nothing happens to you, I can't bear to see you again one night without telling me, changing your shape, and going to meet someone. Finally, when the prince asked Princess what the final conversation between you and Arya Trading Company was, the princess asked the prince if he was hungry to get the word out. So that night, the princess went downstairs and started cooking for the Prince Arnold. The princess was cooking when she suddenly turned around and asked the prince to forgive her. But why did you say that she can do everything well, but she can't cook very well? He ate and said that it was very good, and then they made her dinner together. And while eating, she opened up to the prince about the conversation she had with the Arya Trading Company. Said that, if I can't come up with a good business idea within a week, then the owner of Arya Trading Company will not do business with me. Then the princess said that there is only one problem, that this city is very good. But I don't know anything about what the people of this city like, what they need every day. There are many things to be researched, only then she can come to a conclusion. After hearing this, the prince looked at the princess for a long time. Then the prince got angry and said that he is very funny to you, isn't it? Then the prince heard this and was leaving from there. Before leaving, the prince said something to the princess, that you have met my brother. If you have met, do not speak to him. Then the princess went to the underground library and started doing a lot of research. Meanwhile, Prince Anwar asked the butler, what was the conversation between you two at night? Prince Arnold said to the butler that the princess said she could not cook well, but I saw that the cooking was very good. The next day, when the princess was coming to work in the garden, she saw a boy lying in the garden. When the boy wakes up and reveals himself to the princess, she learns that he is Prince Arnold's younger brother. When the conversation was over, Prince Arnold's brother called the princess over to show her something. When the princess came near the Prince Arnold brother said to her that you have been forced here, so there is no problem, I will save you. He will help her have to get out of this trouble. Then the princess told him that I was not forced here. I came of my own accord. Then Prince, your brother, heard this and said, now I understand. Okay, nice to meet you. See you again later. Later, the prince asked guards if she was told not to meet Prince Arnold's brother.